What do you say, folks? 14 guitars here at beautiful Wambaw OHV Cycle Trail in South Carolina, up near Wambaw, off of 17 North, about 35 miles north of Charleston, South Carolina, in the beautiful Francis Marion National Forest, which we are surrounded by. I think there are 220,000 acres in the Francis Marion National Forest. The Forest Service just finished grooming the North and South Trail, so we are gonna go do a sight lap on at least the North and possibly the South too. It's going to be a nice easy ride since I have no idea what the trails have in store for us. We'll see what kind of condition they are. I hope they're fast, because these trails are always really fun when we knock down the braking bumps and the whoops and you can just fly through the woods here. I believe the ranger told me that they just not long ago burned part of the North. So we do maintenance burns on our forests to improve the forest conditions, and you can look that up. It's a very good thing to do. It's common in the South. I love riding burnt after a burn in the National Forest, because the smell is so beautiful and you can see through the forest so much better and more clear when the smaller bushes get burned off. So it's a great experience. It's like on a whole, riding on a whole different trail. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, we're going to start with the North. May or may not do the South. I kind of feel like I'm just going to do the North today, but we'll see. A lot of days I start off with plans to just do one trail or the other and end up doing both. We'll see how it goes. We'll warm up on the trail. I'm not even gonna, a lot of times there's places, there's a couple tracks here where you can do some warm-up laps, warm your bike up. When my bike starts this time of year, it's a little rich, and a good warm-up leans it out a bit. But here we go. Got the M14 Dunlop M14 paddle tire on the back. I would call it a paddle hybrid tire. First, I'm going to take a quick stop here, and I'll be right back. Drank a whole lot of water getting up here to make sure I would get hydrated. All right, pit stop accomplished. Go see what the groom looks like. So I would call this a trail condition video, where you can see the current trail conditions after the groom. We haven't had any rain for a few days, and so the trails are pretty dry and mushy. And looks like the groomers really don't understand the concept of preserving the berms as they remove the bumps. But I don't know, this one's here, so it's not all bad news. That could just be a single anomaly there. Who knows? We will reserve judgment. I'm a little bit biased, because Bill, who has groomed these trails for years and does such a fantastic job, didn't do it this time. So, I'm an old guy, and change makes me nervous. No question about that. It's much better. It's a little flattened out, widened out a bit, as opposed to preserving the center of the trail. But it's not terrible. I'll take grooming like this any day, and for what it's worth, I appreciate the fact that it got done. I wish Bill could have done it just because I like the way he does it. And he's kind of dedicated himself in service for so many years that I think he kind of, you know, I think he earned the right to be the guy we call on for this. But nobody has an exclusive right to work for the Forest Service, so I'll take what I can get. I did learn that there are funds. I said last video, in my Manchester video from the 21st of March, which I actually, look at that beautiful squirrel, which I released. I believe that's a fox squirrel. They're so pretty and big. Anyway, I released a video, I think yesterday, the 24th of March, from my ride on the 21st. Yes, I think I set a record for the fastest time getting a video out for me in a long time. 2 videos out in a long time. 2 videos in about 11 days posted. And I think I said that I didn't think there were any funds available for grooming the trails. But I've since learned that there actually is a fund available for the Forest Service on these trails. I think it's $100,000 a year, and now that might be shared with several other specific trails. Not, you know, that might not all go to Wambaw. Might also include Annery or Cedar Creek, Cedar Creek, Parsons Mountain. Oh, it's a little mushy out here. But anyway, there is money. You just have to apply for it and then spend the money. So, being a government fund, it's really important to take advantage of those funds and don't leave them on the table, or you'll get dojied, right? If you're not going to use them, it's just sitting there. It's taxpayers' money. You're not going to use it, return it to the taxpayer, or spend it on the debt or something else. So, this is like the one place that I don't mind cutting the trail and just hitting the whoop-de-doos a little early. Didn't touch this part of the trail, or at least not a lot. The bike just feels so powerful today. Get up and go. I'm in 5th. It feels like I'm hauling around in 4th gear. There's a ton of reserve power there. Anyway, probably the nice cool weather is like 68 degrees and low humidity. So a lot of oxygen available per cubic foot of fuel. So you can burn a lot of fuel per cubic foot of air and make more power at the same throttle condition. So let's talk about how a carburetor works real quick. I talked a lot about the ideal stoichiometric ratio between air and fuel. Stoichiometric is just a fancy word for chemical ratio between different chemicals in a chemical reaction. So it's just the ratio of air to fuel. 14.7 parts of air for 1 part of fuel is the most efficient ratio for burning fuel, gasoline. A little richer than that is better in a dirt bike. You know, something around 13.5 is probably safer, so you're not on the edge of being lean. And what is lean? Lean means more air than fuel required for the best burning. Remember, fuel not only burns to power the bike, but fuel cools the motorcycle. Fuel in the cylinder evaporating cools the cylinder, which is a little counterintuitive since it's also giving off heat energy. But it has to do with the fuel flowing into the cylinder in a way that I don't really understand. If you really want to know, plenty of resources to learn more. So I made a mistake on my Manchester March 21st video about that 14.7. I really wasn't sure what 14.7 was. It is air, not oxygen. It's 14.7 parts air per 1 part fuel. But that's at a very specific temperature and pressure. Remember, air pressure changes as you change altitude. Air pressure changes as you change temperature. And air pressure and temperature itself changes air density. So under ideal conditions, 14.7 parts air is the best ratio. 14.7 air, 1 part fuel, because of the amount of oxygen at a very specific temperature and pressure per cubic foot of air, let's say, or per pound of air. Now, if you lower temperature, the density of a cubic foot of air increases. In other words, there's literally more air in a cubic foot, which means there's more oxygen in a cubic foot. So if you don't add additional fuel, you're lean and you're not getting the burning as much fuel as you can based on that cubic foot of air. Why is cubic foot important when it's actually the mass of oxygen versus the mass of fuel that matters? Because carburetors, they don't work on weight or mass. I'm using mass and weight interchangeably here just so that we don't overly complicate the discussion. Think of mass and weight as the same thing in this discussion, you know, when you're on the earth. So a pound of air, a cubic foot of air at sea level weighs more than a cubic foot of air at 10,000 feet under the same conditions, under the same temperature conditions, because air pressure is higher down here. So think of the carburetor as always passing the same volume of air, and the weight of that air is changed based on temperature or pressure, but the volume doesn't change. A cubic foot is a cubic foot is a cubic foot at 10,000 at sea level, at 30 degrees Fahrenheit, at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But since the weight of that air changes, there is more or less oxygen available in the stoichiometric ratio for fuel air. So think about it like this: at if you jet your motorcycle for 10,000 feet, and then you run your motorcycle at sea level, you're going to get a lot more oxygen molecules per cubic foot, and that cubic foot enters the bike at the same throttle position, always. So let's say at full throttle, you're going to get a certain amount of flow, a certain amount of cubic feet of air at full throttle on your dirt bike. If that air has more oxygen in it, it weighs more chunks of oxygen available to mix with fuel, you can change your jetting to let more fuel, more weight of fuel, more mass of fuel through your carburetor by changing your jet, adjusting your needle, turning your air screw or your fuel screw depending on your 2-stroke or 4-stroke. So mainly I wanted to make a correction or take a clarification that 14.7 is air to fuel, but only under acidic conditions. And if the temperature lowers, you have to add more fuel to keep the same ratio. If the temperature goes up, the weight of air goes down in the same volume, you have to lower your fuel to get the same mixture. The stoichiometric ratio of fuel to air. So pretty simple, but I had it so messed up on my last video, I thought I owed it to you all and to myself to clarify what I was talking about. And it does turn out it's 14.7. I don't know if you remember this. I talked about air pressure, and a similar number means something totally different, but air pressure can be measured several ways. Most of us are familiar with PSI, right? We adjust the air pounds per square inch in our tires on our cars or our dirt bikes. Well, another common measurement is bar, VAR, and 1 bar is almost exactly 14.5 PSI. It's like 14.50 something. So 14.5 is definitely close enough for anything we're going to do with air pressure on dirt bikes. Bar is a lot more commonly used in Europe than PSI, since they don't have inches, right, over there. Then there's also millimeters of mercury. Then I'm not sure how many millimeters of mercury equals 1 bar or 14.5 PSI. But I do believe that a bar is the weight of air at sea level. Actually, that might be completely wrong. I don't know. I don't know what bar is. Maybe it has to do with the amount of... I'm not sure. We'll have to look that up. A little homework if you care to learn what a bar is. I think 1 atmosphere, meaning air pressure at standard temperature and standard elevation, I think it is 14.5 psi or 1 bar. And when I say standard, you need to know, right? Since pressure changes, right? Pressure changes. I gotta go open that gate. That is uncool. Let's see if we can. shut. Let's get it open. Not sure if it's, yeah, it's not closed. The trails are open. You know, check the call before you haul hotline before I went, of course, and I also talked to the, not game warden, so what would you call them? The agents, the Forest Service personnel. Really nice lady that I've grown to like. I see her out here all the time. Let's see if we slide this through here. It'll probably stay. Whew. So anyway, since air pressure at sea level changes with temperature, and if you keep temperature steady, air pressure changes with temperature. Well, if I'm going to give you air pressure, I owe you the conditions at which that pressure was measured. Anyway, that clears that up. I got a nice note from I believe a new subscriber about fitness, and he's been working on weight loss. He lost 60 pounds, which is really an accomplishment, and I'll have to look his name up, and maybe I'll put it on the screen here, but maybe not. If it's a public comment that he gave me, I'll post his name. But man, think about that. Think about losing 60 pounds. So people sometimes ask me about fitness. You know, I'm 63 years old, and I'm fairly fit. And I think of fitness, there's a term that degenerate gamblers use, like pool players. And it's, you got to get well the same way you got sick. So what that means is if you played a guy 5 games of pool, and he's up, and you played for $100 a game, and he's up $500, and you tell him, dude, let's play one game, double or nothing. Well, he earned that $500 $100 at a time. Why would he risk losing it all on one game during which you may get lucky? He can be pretty sure that he'll beat you, 5 out of 6 times. Who knows? Maybe 5 out of 5 times, but you can't be sure. A guy can always get lucky. So getting well the same way you got sick in those terms would mean, no, you got to play me $100 a game so you get your money back. And my idea of fitness is similar. If you sat for 5 years on the couch and ate really bad food and you've gained 100 pounds, I don't think it's healthy to go on a starvation diet and essentially starve yourself until you lose 100 pounds, because that's not a habit that you can keep doing the rest of your life and stay healthy, right? It's an emergency, desperate measure. It's unusual, and most importantly, it's unsustainable. So if you want a sustainable solution, you can cut your calories by 20 or 30%. You can start to exercise a couple of days a week. And that can be something really as simple as taking a walk for 10 minutes twice a week. While you're at it, you're taking that walk, wear a short sleeve shirt if it's warm enough to get sun on your face and your arms, for that 10 minutes, and you will increase your testosterone, male or female. Testosterone is critical. I always talk about it because it's so critical to men and women to our health. It's a hormone. It's a health hormone. It's really important for recovery, muscle recovery, probably more so than muscle building. You can recover so much better when your testosterone levels are normal. The beauty of taking a walk twice a week for 10 minutes in the sun, you get the physical workout, right? Go any speed you want, it doesn't matter. You're going to get some health benefits to your heart, your legs, your leg muscles. You're going to get the beauty of being outdoors, which is an extremely psychologically healthy thing to do. There's lots and lots of studies on the psychology of being in the outdoors and how it literally changes the person you are. But most importantly, maybe, is the increased testosterone. It will help you to work out harder with less emotional effort, because testosterone drives desire to exercise, and then it drives recovery. So suddenly you start to make these really good strides, and like I said, you got sick, you know, over the course of 5 years. You don't have to walk 5 days a week. You don't have to get testosterone shots. Exercise by taking a walk 2 days a week to start with. That's the physical part. You can go beyond that, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I think you'll be surprised. Within 2 weeks, you'll start to crave a longer walk. By the way, this trail's not bad. I'm not going to complain about this this groom. It's definitely a dramatic improvement, and I'll take that. I'll take this groom any day of the week over no groom of these trails. Anyway, so kudos to the guy who did the groom. I think it might have been their first time grooming a motorcycle trail. I wouldn't mind if they would talk to somebody who's an expert who rides dirt about, hey, preserve my berms, get rid of my braking bumps, acceleration bumps, and smooth out my my whoop-de-doos. And also, if you see a big route, especially a big route that runs like at a 30-degree angle, you know, not quite parallel to the trail, you can slide over it, fall, you know, take that route out. And we're talking a 4-inch route, you know, a little 1-inch route is generally not a problem at all. Anyway, so we talked about the physical part, and we talked about how quickly, with just walking twice a week, it's going to change your desire to continue. It's not hard. Also, it's not too difficult of an investment to give yourself a huge win, right? You're like, hey man, I worked out every week for 2 weeks, twice a week for the last month. Boom. You get this big psychological win, you'll immediately start seeing results. Now we got to talk about diet. Diet is not difficult. The worst offenders in diet is straying off the path of real food. Real food is protein, vegetables, and fruits, where milk counts as a protein and a fat. Fat is one of the most important nutrients for your body. You just can't eat only fat, although there are cultures that eat tremendous amounts of fat and are incredibly fit and healthy. Of all the non-real foods, the worst offender probably is sugar in all forms, and in its worst form, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. Not just corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. The reason manufacturers add that to ingredients is it causes an addiction as strong as an actual drug, a strong drug, to where your body craves it every few hours. Avoid it at all costs. How do you avoid it? In this day and age, how do you avoid junky food that's straight from the real food? It is so simple. Eat protein, which is beef, pork, lamb, fish, or chicken. Just eat that. That's your protein. All right, that's one thing. Next on your list, eat vegetables. As many as you want. You can't eat too many. And I don't think, if you stick to meat and vegetables, it's extremely difficult not to lose weight. If you're trying not to lose weight and you eat vegetables and meat, you're going to have a very hard time not losing weight. And here's what I do. At my office, I have a hot plate. I can cook a piece of steak the size of my hand. I pay about $8 for that. Filet mignon, about 3 ounces. A big bowl of mixed vegetables. I buy mixed vegetables frozen. I microwave them, and then I add butter. Butter's extremely healthy. Butter's not the bad guy. Butter is one of the good guys. Butter is health food, just not too much of it. So a tablespoon of butter in a bowl of veggies with a little salt, with a chunk of meat, and then let's say an orange or an apple for dessert. Incredibly healthy. If you have an active job, you're going to need more than that, just to maintain energy. But if you stick to that, you buy meat in a package and cook it, you can brown up in 10 minutes a steak in a frying pan in olive oil, and it'll be one of the finest steaks you've ever eaten in your life. Find the temperature of steak that you like and get a temperature gauge and learn how to hit that temperature. And get your mixed veggies and your chunk of fruit. You can eat an egg with a piece of toasted butter for breakfast. For snacks, blueberries, strawberry, banana, celery if you can stand it. I personally like it. Even with a little peanut butter in there. That's protein and fat. Try to get peanut butter that does not have corn syrup in it. You can find it. They definitely make it. It's available in most places. Just don't buy anything in a package. Nothing. Think of... I mentioned in my last video that the words you use to describe things change your brain's response. When you see something packaged, say out loud to yourself, poison. Just say it. Poison. Buy something that's not poison. I mean, you're gonna. I love these little tangerines. What are they? There's Kisses. Man, there's a couple names for them nowadays. Oh my gosh, I can't think of them, but they're these little oranges, about half the size of a regular orange, and I think they're kind of a tangerine thing. And there's several name brands of these out all over the United States now. That is the most incredible dessert for me. The beauty of this little diet I'm talking about, you know, and I'm putting the diet in quotes because this is not a diet, this is a lifestyle of eating, and it won't take long for you to get used to it, I promise, is all those cravings you get around 10 o'clock in the morning where you're like, I'm starving, and you get hangry. That goes away. You stick stick to this meat and veggies diet, one piece of fruit, hangry goes away. Why does that happen? Because your brain isn't being manipulated by the food companies to crave corn syrup or sugars. Now, one thing I did that I thought I could never do, I love half and half in my coffee with some sugar. I drank it that way for, I don't know, since 1985, when I was starting college, 86. About 4 years ago, I decided to give up sugar. Think about sugar for what it is, poison. It's very bad for your body. It causes inflammation in the body. Our bodies are not evolved to process very much sugar. Every now and then is okay, especially if you're working hard, like right before a dirt bike ride, right? You take a piece of hard candy right before a dirt bike ride, you're going to burn that sugar up. But if you're not doing something like that, it's going to get stored as fat. And it's going to trigger, much more importantly than the little bit of fat it stores, it's going to trigger your brain to start craving a replacement every few hours. And that's going to affect your gut biome. And all the stuff that works in your intestines to help your body digest food, it's going to start becoming used to getting the sugar. And then it's going to send signals. This is stuff that's not even you. This is bacteria that live in your gut, and they're part of us. We can't live without them. But they will start sending signals to your brain, hey man, send me sugar. All that goes away. Hunger goes away. You have steady energy. I've got a lot of videos where I've gone straight from my house. I've had coffee with half and half and no sugar in it, and ridden the dirt bike for 2 hours without any problem. Let's get back to the coffee and sugar thing. What I started doing was just leaving sugar out of my coffee completely and drinking it. Now, thankfully, I'm addicted enough to caffeine that while it wasn't as good, I certainly still could drink it. And I missed it for about, I thought it was going to take a week. After about 3 days, I tried my wife's coffee, which she still has sugar in hers, and it tasted bitter. I literally got a bitter flavor, which is strange because, still had the same amount of half and half in it. So I expected a creamy flavor with sugar though. But it turns out that removing the sugar enhances the flavor of the half and half in the coffee. So we're still just riding here right at 50%, 60%. Conditions are definitely rideable for sure. It doesn't look like they did a lot of grooming down here. I'm not sure if they only did just that first part and stopped, because I really can't tell. This doesn't look changed to me. So maybe they just did a short groom at the beginning of the trail. Often the beginning is the worst part anyway, right? Because not as many people ride the full trail. They head home after the first 5 miles. A couple of loops where you can go back early to the parking lot. Anyway, back to the sugar thing with the coffee. It took about 3 days. I don't even like coffee with sugar in it now. I probably could get rid of the half and half and learn to like that. But I really enjoy the half and half. And a couple of tablespoons of half and half are not unhealthy, right? There's fat, essential fat in there, and there's protein in there. So as long as you're not getting too much fat in your diet, saturated fat, it's just not that unhealthy. I I would consider it, if you look it up, if you do a balance on your, if you do an AI look up the diet I'm talking about, and add some coffee with half and half in it, I think you'll see that it comes out in the wash as far as health goes. You kind of break even from the benefits versus the debt that you're paying for the extra fat. So that takes care of the second part of this health regimen, right? And that is definitely going to help you lose some weight. Third, equal importance, diet, exercise. Third, in that triangle, is sleep. You have got to get good sleep to optimize health. It actually is one of the most detrimental factors. If you don't get sleep, it is very, very unhealthy. It can kill you if you don't, if you are sleep deprived long enough. But short term or partial deprived sleep, there's no way you're going to be as healthy as you will if you get plenty of sleep. Most people, 6 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. Make it a priority. There's a really simple checklist to make this work. Go to bed at the same time every day if you can, no matter what. We're looking at the clock, my wife and I, at 8:59. When it clicks 9 o'clock, we go get in bed. We get up around 5 o'clock. Personally, I wait until I wake up from a deep sleep, like a good dream. If it's anywhere between 4 and 6 o'clock, I get up. If I wake up naturally. Because if you're woken up in the middle of a dream, you don't feel as rested. Psychologically, I'm not sure what it does psychologically. I'm not sure what it does hormonally. But sleep affects your psychology, but really affects your hormones, your desire to overeat. It affects your mood, right? Why you're grumpy when you don't get enough sleep. It's literally so important. It should be taught in school how important it is. So we talked about the first pillar of getting good, consistent sleep. Go to bed at the same time every night. Get up around the same time every day, every morning, if you can. Shift workers, you got a much harder time. Shift work is hard on your body. There's nothing you can do. There's probably something you can do, which has to do with a lot more technical, viewing light at certain times of day and things like that. I won't get into that in this discussion. Maybe we'll save that for the future to optimize sleep for shift workers. Anyway, number one, go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time. Number two, dark room, dark house. No light. Don't let any light into your house at night. Tape over your computer light, your LEDs on your computer. All these crazy bright LEDs, they're way too bright. The human body can see with very low light. You know, a lumen is a standard measure of light. A bright flashlight is like 500 lumens, right? If you're walking around with a bright flashlight at night, it'll be 500 lumens. And if you get up from a deep sleep in a dark room, you can see perfectly well with 0.3 lumens, 0.2 lumens, less than 1 lumen, less than half a lumen. It's more than bright enough. That's the range of vision our eyes have. It's incredible. And like I said, if you wake up in a dark room, a tiny, tiny, tiny little light is enough. There's several lights out there, little flashlights out there that are sublumen. Maybe I'll put a picture of them on my on the video of a couple. bathroom. Most night lights are way too bright, like 50 times brighter than they need to be. We bought a night light. You can adjust the color, but you couldn't adjust the brightness completely. I put 2 layers of blue masking tape, you know, that painter's tape, 2 layers over it. It's still more than bright enough to read the clock on the wall if you go to the restroom. It does what it's supposed to do, which is give you good enough vision to use the restroom at night if you need to see. Personally, I think it's best if you don't need to see. You're not exposed to any lights. Refrigerators, bright lights. Street lights coming in the windows, bright lights. If you live in a light environment, get blackout curtains. Black out your room, black out anything. You know, I travel a lot and I'm in hotels all the time. We'll have a microwave, we'll have an air conditioner, we'll have a motion sensor in the room. Yeah, these suckers, they use the motion sensor to not turn on the air conditioner until you start to move around. I think it's a big rip-off these days. It used to be you could run an air conditioner all night. Nowadays, in these hotels with the same energy, whoa, deer. A couple deer. Right there. I can see their tails right over there. Anyway, they'll turn the air conditioner off. And you have to actually get up, go to the restroom, or move around a little bit. It trips the motion detector, turns on the AC for like 5 minutes, then turns it off again. But, yeah. I may have to invest in or design something to trigger that motion detector, like an oscillating fan you can put in front of it somehow. But that would be hard to carry with me on the road, because I'm usually flying. In any case, dark room. I'll put a pair of socks over the LED on the microwave, unplug it. Can't unplug the fridge, so if the fridge has a light on it, I'll cover that with a t-shirt or whatever. I cover every light in the room. Take a pair of pants and put it at the bottom of the door. Since the hallways are usually bright in the hotel, keep the light from coming in to the bottom of the door. And just black out that room. Third, I've already talked about a little bit. It can't be hot. You need quiet, dark, and cool. Cool is very important. So if you can, cool the room down. I know some people don't want to spend the money on the air conditioning. You can get a ductless air conditioner that only cools your bedroom if you have a house for a couple $1,000. Keep the rest of the house 75 at night. Cool your room to 66 and pile up some nice warm blankets. So cool environment with blankets, which also give you a feeling of security and help you sleep. Heavy blankets. It will cost you less in electricity per year if you just cool your bedroom, keep the house a little warmer. I gotta say, I'm gonna take a side note real quick here. Manchester is the ultimate workout for Wambaw. Manchester makes the Wambaw so easy. That's a pretty good kicker route there. It just gets your heart rate, your cardio in such good condition. It just makes Wambaw so much easier. Go to Manchester for your workout and come here for your crazy, fun, fast rides. After a while, you're going to consider Manchester a crazy, fast, fun place to ride. At first, though, a little bit of a wake-up call when you start hitting whoop after whoop after whoop. All right, so back to sleep. Quiet, cool, dark. You can get that. You should sleep much better. I know in some places you can't block out the light. And it seems goofy, especially to we crazy dirt bike riders, to wear like a sleep mask, eye mask. But if you can't avoid light, that is a very, very inexpensive way to keep excess light out of your eyes. Why do these things work? Let's talk about the physics of sleep a little bit. When you go to sleep, your body temperature slowly drops, and it continues to drop until somewhere in the middle of the night, often around say 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's your minimum temperature, and then it starts to go back up again. So your body temperature drops and it induces sleep. One of the reasons it's so easy to sleep when it's cold or when the room is cold. Well, it turns out that not only does your lower body temperature help you sleep, not only does sleep lower your body temperature, lowering your body temperature helps you sleep. So one causes the other. Normally, as you go to sleep, your body temperature drops. But if you force your body temperature to drop, let's say by having a cool room, or taking a cool shower, or jumping in a cool swimming pool before you go to bed, your body temperature drops. It's forced to drop. And it doesn't take much core temperature drop to induce sleep, to make you go to sleep. When I had a lot of, when I had some surgery and I was having a real hard time sleeping, and I got my, not my artificial knee, but the first time I had knee surgery when they rebuilt the knee, I was really having a hard time sleeping. I would go out in the middle of winter, go up to my chest in my swimming pool, and walk back and forth a couple times across the pool. The water might be 45 degrees. That's very cold, but you know, I worked my way up to it over time. What it did though, most importantly, is when I came back in the house, took a quick dry off, my core temperature had dropped a degree, maybe 2 degrees. Somewhere, you know, maybe it's, I might be exaggerating the amount that it dropped. In any case, you get a drop in body temperature. Dropping your body temperature manually induces sleep. It allows your body to go to sleep. It's a reaction to the lower temperature in your body. So that's one piece of physics right there. Lower temperature causes you to sleep. Talk about light. Certain times of night when you see light affect what time you wake up the next day and how well you can go to sleep the next night. And I believe it works something like this. If you can look it up, Andrew Huberman. Just look up a podcast by Andrew Huberman on, I think it's called the Huberman Podcast, something like that. Most people will know him, but for those of you who've never heard of him, it goes something like this. If you see a certain wavelength of light before your body reaches minimum temperature for the evening, you will tend to sleep in, and you'll tend to oversleep, and it'll be harder for you to go to sleep the next day. I think that's how it works. If you see that same light after your minimum temperature, let's say the minimum temperature takes place at 3 o'clock. You see that light, too much light at 2 in the morning, you'll sleep in the next morning, and you'll have a hard time getting to sleep that night. If you see that same light after minimum temperature, say 4 in the morning, you'll tend to be able to get up earlier and go to sleep earlier that night. I think that's how it works. I may have some of that, the opposite of how it actually works. The bottom line, though, is if you see light at night at the wrong time, it ruins your sleep and it makes it harder to go to sleep the next night. Especially if you're on a schedule, right? You want to have a consistent schedule, sleep schedule. You can ruin it by seeing, just by exposure to light, just by turning on the bathroom light at the wrong time. Well, folks, about done here. I heard that there's a route right at mile 18 you got to watch out for. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. I think we're at mile 15 or something. I'm not quite sure, actually. So bottom line is that biologically, light has a detrimental effect on your sleep. And then heat. If you're too hot, your body can't lower its temperature. It just makes it harder to sleep. Now, you can get used to it. As a kid, I lived in a little A-frame on a lake in Louisiana. Upstairs, we 4 kids all slept in this open room, with screens on the windows. No heat or cold year round. You used your bed, your blankets to deal with the temperatures. And northern Louisiana is a warm place in summertime and humid, as you might imagine. You can get used to that. I was a kid, I didn't much know better. I knew it was, maybe, I guess I knew it was kind of miserable, but I didn't really know any better than, heck, it's just what with life, you got to sleep under these conditions. But it's still harder to sleep in hot conditions than in cool conditions. If you want really deep sleep, cool conditions work best. I guess you could relate that possibly to evolution, right? In winter, it's short days, cold nights, you need to sleep longer because you can't go out at dark. You'll get eaten by a tiger or a mountain lion. In summer, a lot more daylight, time to hunt. Alright, I think we'll do the south. I feel pretty good. Definitely will be tired after the south, but I think we'll just go ahead and knock it out. I can always come back early if I get halfway done and not feeling it. That was the north, so you see the conditions. They're not terrible. They're definitely better than they were. Let's see how the south is. Alright, so the 3 pillars of health, right? How you eat, how you sleep, tiniest little bit of exercise. Consistent with that tiny little bit of exercise can encourage you to exercise more and start to crave it. What are the benefits? Oh my gosh, so many benefits, right? Your brain works better. Your libido is increased. Adults know what that is. Your energy is higher, right? So you can do, let's say, a better job at work, have more fun when you're playing, feel like actually going out and doing something instead of just sitting around the house, sitting on the sofa, doing nothing. You're healthier, less work, since you're all of the blood vessels in your body improve their muscle tone. There's muscles in your blood vessels. That muscle tone is improved. Your heart can pump the same amount of blood with less work. Since you have less fat, the same amount of blood brings more oxygen to your important organs. I love the YZ Woods Beast suspension. It's so good. It works in so many conditions. That's a long stretch of decent whoop-de-doos there. Be careful if you're not used to that. That's right here at the start of the trail. If you come out here with a newbie, don't go too fast in that section. They might try to follow you and get in a little over their head. They're not used to that kind of whoop-de-doo speed. Now, that was miles, right? I usually hit that thing at 45 or something. That was what, 32? Like that close, not even that. So anyway, okay, we talked about some of the health benefits. Even more is you're gonna feel so good about yourself. You know, if you ride dirt bikes, you look at the world differently. You got one up on the world, right? You do something other people don't do and can't do. It is a different life. Yeah, I guess that's what they mean by a life-changing event. Riding dirt bikes changes my life for the better. But it doesn't just change it. It makes it like a different life, like I'm a different person. People who love riding probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Those of you who don't ride, give it a try. Start slow, start with a small bike, start easy. Don't get it over your head, especially if you're learning from scratch or if you're returning after being away. Let's say as a kid you rode and then, you know, life happened, you got away from it, now you've got some time to do it again and you feel like getting back into it. Get back into it easy on a 125 four-stroke, let's say you're a normal sized adult. 250 four-strokes today are so powerful that it's almost like going back to a 450. You haven't ridden in a long time. Everything happens faster on a faster bike, which means you can get out of shape a lot faster and you can get hurt a lot faster. Before you built up muscle memory to deal with getting out of shape. I've said it many times before, a lot of getting faster is just building muscle memory to make corrections when you get out of shape on the trail. You don't run out of calories on the trail. But get back out and do it. Ride with some friends that are willing to go at the speed that works for you. And when I ride with my nephew, he's pretty fast, but I ride a whole lot more, and I'm definitely faster. When he's fast enough, I can still have fun riding with him. I can ride ahead if I want. I can let him get far ahead and catch up, and just enjoy the experience of he and I riding. If I really want to ride fast, I can save that for when I ride by myself. All right. Burnt forest so far. I'm looking forward to it when we get into it. It's a fun section right here. What else? Oh, I stopped by the Caballero. Caballero was a restaurant in Charleston. I think established like during the big band era, like the 30s. You know, real Art Deco. And in the 80s, the early 80s, it was still in business. They still had live music many nights of the week. And I had met my wife in May of '83. And I pretty much knew that I wanted to marry her by June. She's just you know, a really special kind of woman. We've been married, this will be 41 years this year, so it's worked out for us. Anyway, I had asked her, I was sitting here talking to her in her kitchen one day, her parents' kitchen. She lived at home, she was in nursing school, and asked her if she wanted to get married. And she said, when? I think this was in June of '83, and I said October. And she said October next year. Evidently, I wasn't aware at that age of all that's involved when you get married, the time that it takes, and getting to church and all those things. Forgive me if I just talked about this. I kind of feel like I did. But anyway, I just love my wife so much, and our relationship has just been so good. It's always been good, but lately, you know, I'm in a great place, she's in a great place, so it's just, I'm just enjoying us growing old together. It's just been really special, and I'm just so thankful, right, that we were able to do this. Grow old together with someone you really care about and enjoy being around. But anyway, I went to the Caballero with her on January 6th, 1984. And we had been to the mall the night before, and I asked her if she wanted a piece of jewelry. And there's a really beautiful necklace at this jewelry store we were at. She really liked it. And I told you, I'm not sure when I'll be able to afford it, but I would love to get it for you someday. And I'd actually gone the next morning, the morning of this event that I'm talking about, and bought her an engagement ring. But I had them put it in a necklace case. Woo! Got a little out of shape there. My front tire was kind of low. I filled it up on the 21st, and it was at 9.5 pounds or 11.5 pounds. And this morning it was only 3 pounds. So I don't know if I've got a little pinhole in it, maybe a pinch flat of some kind. But anyway, so you see the front end getting a little loose. I'm just going to keep riding unless and until that front goes completely flat. If it is, I'm not going to check it. That's what I'm saying. Back to the story. So I got the beautiful ring, the marquee. Marquee is shaped like a, kind of like a, well, a diamond shape. It's oval, but with pointed ends. It's a beautiful old style, traditional cut. Look up marquee diamond cut if you're interested. And it was, you know, it was a decent chunk of my salary to get it. But I figured, hey, I'm only going to get engaged hopefully one time. She's got to have this ring the rest of her life. Let's get something that she can enjoy. And took her to the Caballero. We had a fantastic steak dinner. And I went up and asked the band. They had a live band, and they were playing kind of, you know, different music. And asked them to play a love song for me. And they started playing this love song. It happened to be a song that I knew the words to. It was a little more risque than I would have chosen, but it just makes it fun to tell the story now. And on the last note of the last verse, it's something like, she's still a lady to me, or something like that. I'm still in love with you. I'm still in love with you. After the loving is the song. After the loving, I'm still in love with you. And on I was kind of singing that last part to her, and somehow the waitresses all seemed to know what was about to happen, and they were kind of all standing behind me, and they were crying. Like, standing in a little line, kind of lined up watching us, and it was just perfect. And the band was watching us, little glint in their eye. They kind of knew what was happening. And after the loving I'm still in love with you, on you, I set it on the table. And she absolutely knew that I had bought her this beautiful necklace that we looked at the night before. She was positive. And she started crying a little bit, you know, she just thought it was sweet. And she kind of took my hand and said, thank you, sweet. You know, thank you, Michael. Yeah. She popped open the case, and it took a couple of seconds to register that it was a beautiful wedding ring, or, you know, engagement ring that we'd looked at weeks earlier. That was, you know, going way out of my price range. And she burst into tears, and I kind of burst into tears too. And all of those wait staff, they all started crying. And the band was smiling, just the biggest smile. And it was, you know, I only regret not getting down on my knees, but the way it worked out was still also one of those awesome moments. And maybe getting on my knee wasn't required at that time. I don't know, just as good, different, still wonderful. And it became one of these really special moments that went really well. And she, of course, said yes. And we were married in October of '84. Oh yeah, when you fall over like that, right, you're gonna flood the bike. Give it all the gas you got. That maximizes the amount of air going into the carb. Starts right back up. Look how easy that is. Just remember that on a two-stroke. Fall over, you're gonna flood it. Get up, put it neutral, full throttle, full throttle, clutch in, start the bike. Usually a couple kicks is all it's gonna take. Anyway, so we got engaged at this restaurant. Now, eventually the restaurant closed and they were gonna tear it down. A car dealership bought the land and they agreed with the city to keep the building intact. And they've done a great job of keeping this. You go straight there, you go right back to the parking lot. You go this way, it's a full 20-mile round trip. I think so. We're 5 miles in on the south. If you go back, I think you've gone a total of 10 miles. You go this way, you go a full 20 miles. Something like that. Anyway, so I happen to be, like I said in my last video, I dropped the car off at my wife's car. I had to get a little work to get done at the dealer. I usually do my own work, but I'd exhausted my expertise on this particular car for this problem. Dropped it off at the dealer and stopped by there, and it's in such perfect condition. They've really maintained it, and I'm so thankful that they did that, and it's still there. Now, right now, they're doing some renovations and repainting and stuff, so there's nobody inside working. But I'm kind of planning, if possible, maybe for our 41st anniversary, to see if I can't convince them to let me have dinner on our anniversary after hours in that building this year. And if not this year, maybe on our 45th or our 50th wedding anniversary, when it's something, you know, more significant. It's kind of hard to say, hey, it's my 41st. I probably should have done this on the 40th, but it didn't occur to me this last October. Alright, so we're still taking it really easy on this ride. Just having fun. You can see the conditions. watch out on this road. This is definitely a road used by general traffic. Nice get up and go with this particular jetting. If you're curious about how my bike is set up, every single video, go to the video description. I've got a full description of how my bike is set up. I've also got links to like build articles on a few different things. One is the light system, how I built that light and the components and the costs. Those are recorded on the Thumper Talk forum. Shaving the seat, although I don't use the shaved seat anymore. When I first got the bike, I shaved the seat that was on it and rode that way for a couple of years. But now I ride with the standard seat. Rebuilding the rear shock. I put a 2008 rear shock, 18mm shaft on the rear. It replaced the 2005 shock that was on it. Either 2008 or 2007 rear shock. And I rebuilt that with a gold valve from a can't remember. Look up gold valve. Gold valve, the company that makes gold valves, shock valves, is run by an MIT engineer, mechanical engineer like me. I mean that he's a mechanical engineer, and so am I. He's much more technically oriented than I ever was. But once I went to the MIT of the South, I went to Georgia Tech, and he went to MIT of Boston. But if you buy from them, they tell you everything you need to do to rebuild the shock and to revalve it for your weight, for your kind of ride. So I changed the valving. Valving in your suspension are these essentially a bunch of washers that influence how the fluid in your shocks and your forks moves. And by changing these stacks of washers or valves, shims, it changes the response of your suspension. So they give you the advice. You essentially tell them how much you weigh, what kind of riding you do, and the suspension you're using, and they will tell you, okay, take some of these valve shims out of here, move these over here, add some here, change this valve, and it changes the tuning in your suspension from, in this case, from motocross. This is a YZ250 motocross bike, 2005, to more of a woods oriented. It happens to still be pretty darn good on a motocross track. Not optimized for motocross, because I don't ride motocross, but still pretty good on a track, and very good in the woods. And I love when this bike feels in the woods. I probably will never get another bike. You know, I can ride for another 20 years or so. 63, I'm sure I'll be able to ride till I'm 83 unless I really break something or die. So 20 more years on this bike would be great. You young folks, think about what I just said. 20 years is what I've got left. If you're a 20-year-old, maybe you've got 60 years of riding to enjoy. Every single time you ride is precious. Every single time. If it's something you really enjoy. I have never gone for a ride and said, man, I wish wish I hadn't done that. That was no fun. You know, I did have an experience out here last year or the year before when I ran out of gas for the first time in 50 years of riding dirt bikes. And I had to push the bike, you know, I don't know, quarter mile, 95 degrees. Had to stop like 5 times. It was just so hot. And it was at the end of a very hard ride. Even then I didn't say I wish I hadn't done that. I said I wish I'd have put gas in it. I still had a great ride. Just not so good after a ride. Whew, this time of day. It is rough with the sun in your eyes. But we're gonna be doing a 180 here soon. Thankfully, instead of heading west, we're gonna head east. The sun sets in the west and we're driving right into it. Not too much longer. We'll be making a 180 to the left, heading back east to the parking lot. If you look at my little map up on the screen there, you can see right now I'm heading west. I'm heading left on the page, right? Left on the computer screen. Approximately. Now maybe southwest, which means to be left and down a little bit. Heading into the sun. You're heading into the sun at sunset, you're going west. If you're looking at the sun at sunrise, you're facing east. It rises in the east and sets in the west. If it's noon, you're looking right at the sun, you're looking south, directly south. Right. What do the little mogways say? Bright light. Never feed them after midnight. Yes. I tightened up my visor because it was falling down when I didn't want it to fall down. And I got it so tight that I can't just slide it down like I usually can. So I've had to hit it 2 or 3 times trying to get it. I think I've got the visor down now, far enough, so I can use it to block the sun. Back up. I love seeing the entire view of the woods in front of me. When I don't have to have it down low to block the sun, I want my visor all the way up all the time. I've seen some motocross guys say, you know, that's a kook move, but I do not care. I'm not on a motocross track. I don't have guys throwing rocks at me. You know, there's guys on bikes in front of me. I love the view from the front of the bike. See it all. I only put the visor down when I gotta shield the sun. Is. The south is by far faster than the north. About the same distance, about 20 miles. And a lot more straight flowing trails. parallel to the road. For some reason the bike is just eating up these whoops really well today. I think it's the suspension we changed about 6 months ago. It's just a little softer, where we can still hit the whoops and skip over them, but not get quite so beat up if you work at super high speeds and skimming every whoop. Feels darn good. These whoops are pretty big through here. We're going pretty fast. Unless you're a desert racer and you look at this and go, yeah, what a wimp. Not even going 80. Those guys are incredible. But you know, you got to practice those conditions to be able to achieve what they can do, and I have not. I've done basically what you see me doing here for almost all of my dirt bike riding career. Here in Ennery, the tiniest little bit of rocks at Brown. You can see it, but through there, some pretty deep whoops. And I was hitting the side of the trail on the whoops to minimize how far down I was actually going, right? The whoops are not the same depth. They're deepest in the center, right? And then they get less and less deep on the edges until there's almost no whoop along the edge. So if you can hit that edge, you can avoid part of the whoop. All right, back at the road. Of that, just to see what she would do under these conditions. So we'll have to see on the metrics on the GPS. Actually, you know what? I didn't record anything. I didn't record any GPS on this trip. I didn't turn on my watch, and I didn't turn on my phone. So there's not going to be any speedometer. I just realized. No speedometer, no heart rate. I guess I can put heart rate on there because I did record my heart rate. But other than heart rate, I didn't record anything. Oh well. Maybe that'll be nice to see. Nothing but what I see through my visor for a change, instead of all those gauges. You know, you can see the trail conditions in all their beauty. All right. Whew. That was fun, y'all. Man, that's fun. Great thing about doing the south last, after you do north and south, get the north done, which is you go east and then west. So the second half you're into the sun, and you continue going west on the south, facing west while you're riding the south for 10 miles, and then the south facing essentially a big U-turn, and for the rest of the ride you're essentially going almost the whole way to the east, away from the sun. And this time of year when the sun is very low in the sky, oh smokes, we were in fifth gear almost all that whole part of the trail there. So you get to go east most of the way. If you turned around at the 5-mile mark, I think this is the part of the trail you would go into the woods at the 5-mile mark and basically make a big 180 really fast, and this is the half of that 180. Maybe you'd go half a mile into the woods, do a big 180-degree turn, go back this way for half a mile, and then you're on the return part of the trail right here. You also can just come straight down this road instead of taking that little, instead of going into the woods at all. You can just make a left when you see the 5-mile sign. Make a left, and then make a left onto this. Make a left onto the road there, on the road we just hit. Let me start over. You're on the trail, on the South Trail. You pop out, and in front of you, going into the woods, it says 5 miles. Make a left on that road. You're going to be crossing the road. Make a left on that road, and the trail will be 100 yards down on the left. And send you back to the parking lot over this, section here, which is maybe another 5 miles. I'm not quite sure how long this is actually. I almost always, I'm not sure I've ever returned on the 5-mile trail, so I'm not really sure how long it is at all. This sand is very mushy. I'm a little tired. Got a little out of shape there in that corner, and I was in 5th gear, and had a real hard time getting her downshifted in time to make the correction there. When I get tired, I really love the bike. With what I've done to this bike, it lugs really, really well. You can stay in a higher gear without any problems at all. In a higher gear, it's just easier to ride. You don't accelerate as quickly, you don't decelerate as quickly, which is less effort. Yeah, this sand is real mushy right now. My front tire might be really low, and I just don't know it because I haven't checked. But it just doesn't feel that low. It just feels like it's the conditions of the sand to me. I don't feel like stopping and checking. Like I said, as long as I can ride, good enough, I'm just not going to stop. It seems to be good enough. Alright. Pretty cool section here. We're about to go, we're going to go left, and then a wide, really wide right-hand turn 180 degrees coming up at the end of this turn here, end of this section here. So round and round and round and round and round some more. Great fun. Whoops, dude. They're not junior whoops. They're full-size whoops. This section. Alright. Into the Hobbit Woods, where we got a lot of little oak trees. Nice and dark. Winding trails. Really cool. Unfortunately, super sandy. Yeah, man, it's mushy. It's mushy, but still fun. Right? Maybe northwest. Not quite east. So the sun's off my left-hand side. So my left-hand side would be west. So I must be going northwest. So on the map, slightly uphill to the left. Still pretty bright. Sun on the side there. If you start to slide going through a corner, you know, giving it gas and down, gas it out, right? And how that caused the bike to right itself, stand itself back up, falling over. It's a bit more complicated than just the gyroscopic effect of spinning that rear tire and using the gyroscopic effect of that tire to lift the bike up. If you can, do a little AI search on how giving the bike gas in a corner helps you from sliding out. It really can save you. It's not intuitive. Giving it more throttle to keep from falling over instead of backing off the throttle. This might be your first impulse. I definitely probably need to sharpen my pegs. I'm using the low heel method, keeping your heel down. Hit these whoops. makes your feet want to slide off the pedal. And my pedals haven't been sharpened in a long time. And I think even when I sharpened them, I didn't sharpen them that much. I do like the stock YZ pedals, but I think guys use titanium. Maybe it holds its edge better. You know, holds a sharp edge longer. Titanium is so tough, but I'm not sure. Like AJ Catanzaro, what is it, MX Factory, whatever he does, he says he always changes to titanium pegs, and he sharpens them. It's one of the first things he does, along with tuning his suspension, is foot pegs, super sharp. And he mentions titanium, and I don't know if the titanium stays sharper or it's just lighter. Not really sure, but I know mine are a little dull. You just then, you know, doing the attack position where you keep your heels low, you keep the balls of your feet on your pegs, heels low. That helps automatically aligns your knees properly. Move your knees back and grip the bike. So you're not having to grip the bike 100% with your muscle. The physics of keeping your heel low pulls your thighs into grip the bike. So you can grip with less physical muscle effort. And you don't have to think about it as hard. Just by keeping your heels low. And like I said, I haven't sharpened my pegs in years. And I'm thinking that I might have been on the edge there on some of those hooks of having a foot come off. And speed, maybe not that speed, but a little faster. If your foot comes off on one of those sections of whoopie-doos, you know, you might get into bad shape really quick. I've got to remember before my next trip, I'm going to sharpen my foot pegs, check my tire for a leak, see if she's holding here. All this sand, switch to a clean, fresh air filter. Just passed is what one of the riders was talking about. Big route right across the trail. Big route. Alright, gate to gate. That's the north and south trails here at Wambaw after the groom. Come out and see for yourself what the conditions are like. Today, no burrito, because my wife is a great cook and I don't want to get too full. I've only got a short drive to the house back in Charleston. Great job, dirt bike. I think I might have a little issue with my light. After a ride like that, it should be super bright and it's not coming on at all, and I don't know why. So we'll take a look at that. Almost always when this happens, it's the switch. I try to buy a quality switch, but out here in these sandy conditions, You just got to take them apart, spray them off with some electronics cleaner, put them back together, and that usually fixes any problem. So we turned off our fuel. All right, everybody, that's the Woods Beast, and that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you like my videos, please thumbs up, subscribe if you would, please subscribe. It helps get the video out to other people. Also, I got more subscribers now. YouTube processes my video in just a few hours instead of 24 hours. It used to take 24 hours to process my videos, and now within 6 hours they're up and running at full HD 4K. Thank you much, everybody. Love you, appreciate it. Hope you can get out these trails. Wambaw is definitely rideable. Come out the day after rain if they stay open. That'll be the best in these really sandy conditions. Thank you much. Take care. Bye-bye.